or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Fran McNamara, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the December 5th to December 11, 2025 issue of Buffalo Business First, right here on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And I'm looking at the front page, and it says, okay, Buffalo Business First cover story, $1 million nonprofits. These 242 organizations account for more than $4 billion in revenue and employ more than 63,000 people. Welcome to the 28th annual report on this sector, and that will begin on page 6. That's written by Tracy Drury, and there's a picture of a man. Well, he's got something in his hand that says Unit 8 Money Dictionary. Listen and repeat. And I'm really not sure what that refers to, but there's somebody across from him that looks like they're interviewing him. Okay, and then there's an ad for Tops at the bottom. So let's get right to page 2, and this is the table of contents for the $1 Million Nonprofits 2025. Welcome to the 28th annual edition of Business First's $1 Million Nonprofits, a research report about the largest nonprofits in Western New York. It includes our study of the region's locally based foundations and grants made to local organizations. Your feedback is appreciated and may be sent to T. Drury. Now, this is all in small letters. T. Drury at bizjournals.com. So that's tdrury at bizjournals.com. And there's the table of contents. And boy, we're going to be skipping a few pages because the rest of page 2, page 3 are ads. So we're going right to Tracy's forward for this very special edition. I don't know about you, but I'm very interested. I actually volunteered for 6 of these. I don't know if we're $1 billion ones, though. But anyway, special report from the reporter, Tracy Drury. Why we produce $1 million nonprofits. For the past 28 years, I've looked to the end of August with some anxiety, and it's not just because the sunshine and warm weather are ending. Late summer is when the real work begins for Business First's annual $1 Million Nonprofits report, which this year includes data on 242 nonprofits and another 55 foundations. That's 300 organizations working hard across 8 county regions to help meet needs ranging from health and hunger to arts, music, and culture. Because these groups are incorporated as nonprofit, each is required to detail where its funding comes from, usually a combination of government funding or payments, public contributions and foundation grants, as well as how they're spending those dollars which they receive. Those tax filings provide transparency and accountability, shedding light on spending for capital projects, programs, and employee compensation. We look at the compensation and salaries of the leaders running these organizations in particular for 2 reasons. 1, to see if those compensation packages are commensurate with the organization's income. And secondly, so other nonprofits are able to competitively compensate their staff. This year, you'll find new data on private social and golf clubs in our report, an area in which we've seen significant interest from our readers. We also included the arts and cultural organizations that serve our children through education, sports, and social engagement, as well as the region's largest providers of health care and services for individuals with disabilities or mental health needs. In total, these organizations brought more than $4 billion in revenue into the community and employed more than 63,000 individuals. Now combined, They're a vital sector that is key to the Western New York community's economic success. As always, we hope you'll use this as a guide, then dig a little deeper yourselves. You know, all data in this report and a lot more is publicly available excuse me, through 990 tax forms that can be found online or at the individual organizations. And we certainly welcome your feedback. So, that's Tracy Drury, the reporter for this issue. I'm sure the main producer of this issue. And now we have the bottom of page 4 is a full ad. Page 5 is a full ad. So we go right to page 6. And it's got a beautiful picture of Kleinhans Music Hall. And it looks to me, just from the way the pond around the actual theater portion is, that it's in late fall, because there are quite a few leaves in the pool that surrounds that portion of the hall. And I can see trees in the distance past it. There's hardly any, but the ones that are there have the amber leaves. So it's got to be a fairly recent picture. So here we go with page 6. Western New York nonprofits reach $4 billion in combined revenue. Some organizations are thriving with million-dollar surpluses, others, 90 to be exact, ended fiscal year 2023 in the red. Okay, so I'm going to be reading Tracy Drury's, let's say, introduction to, I'm sure, graphs and charts, and I'll be skipping to what she has written so I can read it, if you'll pardon the Latin expression, in toto. Okay. With more than $4 billion in combined revenue, Western New York's largest nonprofits represent a massive workforce with an undeniable economic impact. A total of 242 organizations are included on the 2025 $1 million nonprofits list, a report that showcases the ongoing growth and significance of nonprofit corporations across the 8-county region. Those organizations employed 63,163 individuals during the 2023 fiscal year, the most recent year for which complete tax report data was available. The report analyzes tax data for hundreds of nonprofits, pulling out those with revenue of at least $2 million. So just keep in mind, and this is an aside from the article, there are certainly many more nonprofit organizations that in the area that don't reach that $2 million cutoff. Both revenue and employment have continued growing. Last year's report included 232 organizations with combined revenue of $3.8 billion and nearly 62,000 people employed. That was up from the year before, when 239 nonprofits reported revenue of $3.55 billion and reported filing W-2s for just over 57,000 individuals. So now she starts, Tracy, God bless her, Tracy Drury starts with a snapshot of this year's findings. So here's the first bullet. Of the 242 organizations included in the report, a half dozen are affiliated corporations operating as one. With 95 organizations, the social welfare sector is the largest subcategory of these agencies. 9 on the list were education and youth-related groups. Second bullet. Although staffing remains an issue, nonprofits are finding ways to attract employees, although they might not always stick around. Excuse me. A total of 63,163 W-2s were reportedly filed in 2023 for anyone who worked for any period. That exceeds the 62,032 reported in 2019 before the pandemic and the 57,279 reported in 2021. Reported volunteers shrunk from 61,562 to 49,441, down from a high of 63,919 in 2021. The next bullet. Employment is highest at agencies serving people with disabilities, with 22,254 people on the payroll in 2023. Social welfare groups reported 14,766 employees. Healthcare and rehabilitation was the only other category with more than 10,000 people. The smallest categories by employment, the education and youth and economic development, research, business, and private club sector, had fewer than 5,000 employees. Next bullet. When it comes to revenue totals, the healthcare subcategory led the way in revenue totals yet again, with 44 nonprofits reporting a combined $1.28 billion. Next in line were services for people with disabilities, with 19 organizations having combined revenue of $900 million. The social welfare category had $918 million in revenue at 95 organizations. Next bullet. Most of the largest organizations continued to grow, a recurring theme. In fiscal year 2023, the number of nonprofits with revenue topping $100 million grew from 4 to 5. They include People Incorporated, $239.8 million compared to $239.9 the year prior. Visiting Nurses Association of Western New York, $121.9 million, down from $129.2 million. Evergreen Health, $118.8 million, up from $106 million. Catholic Health and Home Community Care, $104 million, up from $70 million. That's quite a jump. And the Resource Center, $100.6 million, up from $92.2 million. This year's list includes 96 organizations with revenue over $10 million, up from 74 in the 2019 report. Next bullet. Salaries also continued rising as 569 individuals were reported to earn over $100,000 in 2023 compared to 481 in 2021. Those earning more than $200,000 totaled 141, while 7 people pocketed more than $500,000. Just one individual earned more than $1 million. Next bullet. The average organization had $16.8 million in revenue, expenses of $16.1 million, and a year-end surplus of $580,915. Data showed 90 organizations ended the year in the red, while 23 losing more than $1 million. That was a marked decline from the year 2021, when 58 organizations reported deficits following the pandemic. Among those ending the year in the black, 54 organizations were over the $1 million mark, including 2 that were actually over the $10 million mark. Hoo-ha! Okay, and the last bullet on this section of the report. This year's report also details 20 executive transitions and a list of 50 board chairs. Our top foundations list breakdowns 56 private, corporate, and community foundations with collective assets of $3.2 billion at the end of 2024 that made gifts and grants totaling $199.6 million. So that concludes Tracy Drury's written intro and summary that went to the middle of page 8. But I want to go back up to a nonprofit revenue chart that was on page 5. It was the top half of page 5. Okay? Okay. Now this chart shows nonprofit revenue and then also employment by sector. Okay? So, nonprofit revenue. Okay. There were 57 organizations that contributed to a total of $3.49 million. Okay, so of those 57, they would go from $2 million to $349 million. That whole gamut is represented. The next, from $3.5 to $4.9 million, there are 38 nonprofit revenue organizations. From 5 million to 9.9 million, there are 51. From 10 million to 24.9 million, there are 49 organizations. From 25 million to 99.9 million are 42 organizations. And finally, in this part of the chart, there are 5 organizations that report from $99.9 million up to $100 million plus. Wow. Okay, employment by sector. Now these are hefty numbers too. Services for the disabled employed 22,254. Now it doesn't differentiate whether these are full-time or part-time. I should note that. Social welfare, 14,766 are employed in that sector. Healthcare and rehabilitation, 11,985 are employed in that sector. Senior living, 5,153 are employed in that sector. Cultural and tourism, 4,224 are in that employed sector. Economic development, research, business, and private clubs, 3,526 of them employed in that sector. And finally, education and youth, there are 1,255 employees in that sector. So you can see really, just by this chart, there's an enormous number of people, a lot of money obviously, and quite a substantial portion of people who are employed in that sector. And by the way, before we continue, and I'm sure you know this, you're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First, right here on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, now we're going to get, we already went back to page 5 to see that chart. Now we're going to go to the next section of the special report. And I'm going to wager a guess, even though it's not stated specifically. Each one of these reports in these sections, let's say the explanations, the substantive writing is by Tracy Drury. Okay, frequently asked questions. For 28 years, Buffalo Business First has reported on the financial status of Western New York's many nonprofits. The goal is for our $1 million nonprofits to serve as an informative guide about the region's nonprofit sector. So here's the first question. Why does Business First publish the $1 Million Nonprofit Report? The answer. We began reporting about nonprofit finances in the days before the internet made financial reports readily available. Even today, though, the reports aren't always easy to find, and are often difficult to understand. $1 Million nonprofits break out basic information about how each organization derives revenue and how those dollars are spent. The numbers alone tell just part of the story, though. That's why we recommend using $1 Million nonprofits as a tool, along with annual reports, audits, and other information about their missions and programs. Most nonprofits recognize the importance of transparency and will make all this data available on their individual websites. And quite frankly, from experience, I think you'll find most of them go with of course, the old www has kind of gone by the wayside, but you will see something like path.com or gerardplace.com. So they're fairly easy to find by their given name. If you know the name of the organization, the nonprofit organization, it's usually their name.com. Okay, and second question. Why does some information on this list seem old? Most organizations have not yet filed their 2024 reports because of tax filing deadlines, plus extension allowances. Nonprofits file tax data a few months after the end of their fiscal year, just like we do our personal taxes each spring for the previous year. This year's list includes data for 2023, the most complete recent year for which complete and consistent data was available. Most agencies on this list began their 2023 fiscal year between January 1st, 2023 and December 31st, 2023, some ending in the 2024 calendar year. A handful began the year they call 2023 in the fourth quarter of 2022. Okay, there's 2 questions answered. Now the next. Why doesn't the list include other nonprofit groups, such as schools and hospitals? We recognize that the nonprofit sector is broad, and this report does not attempt to include every category of organizations, although we did add private clubs this year. More than 30 hospitals, health systems, and health insurers in the region are incorporated as nonprofits, as are dozens of private schools, both K through 12 and at the college level. Both sectors are analyzed in other Buffalo Business First research reports. Others you won't find here are nonprofits affiliated with religious organizations, which are exempt from making financial data public. Okay, the next question we have, why don't I see information about the American Red Cross or the American Cancer Society? Okay, and here's the answer. Many well-known and reputable charities are not incorporated individually. Instead, they operate as chapters of statewide or national organizations. These groups are not based here and usually don't provide financial information for Western New York operations, which are the focus of this particular research publication. Geographic location is also the reason you won't see individual listings for organizations such as Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, the Goldizano Family Foundation, Camp Good Days or Heritage Christian Services, all of which provide services regionally, but are headquartered elsewhere. Okay, next questions. Some organizations don't list employees. Why? Well, many nonprofits are affiliated with other incorporated organizations that handle 11R and payroll functions. So their employees are reported elsewhere. In some cases, that could mean another organization on the $1 million nonprofits list, or it could include an organization whose revenue is not high enough to make the list. In other cases, they use a professional employer organization, or the number was left blank through a reporting error in tax filings. Okay, next question. Excuse me. Why do similar organizations have different allocations of expenses, with some saying they spend all their money on programs, while others spend on much more, so much more, on administration and overhead? Well, blame that on GAAP, or Generally Accepted Accounting Practices, which allow organizations considerable latitude in how they report data. Agencies report the dollar breakdown on their tax return, which we show as a percentage of total expenses. Some report spending every last dollar on programs and services, building the cost of staffing and fundraising into those program costs. That includes organizations that bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars through special events and major fundraisers. Others break out the data as separate overhead expenses. Both are considered acceptable accounting methods. Why do you include organizations that are closing or already shut? And I'm sure Tracy has the spot-on answer for this one. If the organization was open and operating during the fiscal year studied, we include it on the list for historical purposes. And finally, the last question in Tracy's question and answer section here on page 10. Last year you included an organization that I don't see this time. What happened? Why not? And here's Tracy's cogent answer. The organization's on the list every year, and they vary based on our revenue threshold. Some organizations appear on the list thanks to a grant or a capital campaign causing a temporary bump in monies to that organization. Others fall off because they were acquired or merged with other agencies, and in some cases, the organization no longer exists or has been rebranded or renamed. So thank you, Tracy. That really sets the table, so to speak. Now, page 11, we have another full page ad. And really, I don't feel it necessary to read the full page ads. Okay, page 11 and 12 and 13 are all full page ads. So let's get to page 14. And here we have a chart. You know, there's two charts here, and one is the $2 Million Nonprofits Club by name alphabetically. And then the second chart, that goes for 2 pages. And then this, 3 pages. And then they do it again, but they rank them by revenue. And because I only have a certain amount of time allotted to me, I think you would probably want to hear these in terms of not alphabetical order, but from the top with the revenue to the bottom as a special report. So I'm going to take editorial, I can't think of the right noun for this, but I'm going to make the decision to read it by revenue. Okay, so let's get a cracking. Okay, in first place, we have People Incorporated out of Williamsville. CEO is Ann McCaffrey. They employ 5,648. Their revenue is $239 million, expenses $240 million. The expenses are devoted to, in this order, programs at 91%, management 8%, fundraising 0%, surplus deficit minus $507,000, net assets $104 million. Highest paid executives, Rhonda Frederick, President CEO, $779,749. Ann Stone, CFO, $443,000. Ann McCaffrey, President CEO, $325,000. John Chivone at $154,000. And I'm rounding these figures off. Conchetta Ferguson, Chief Innovation and Program Officer, $200,000. Tracy Herringer, Chief Legal Strategy Officer, $195,000. Anna Karos, SVP, $192,000. Jocelyn Bose, $200,000, VP of Housing. In second place, we have Visiting Nurses Association of Western New York out of Cheektowaga. CEO is Lisa Greisler, employees 969. The revenue is $121 million. The expenses are $99 million. And the expenses are devoted to programs at 79%, management 20%, surplus deficit $22 million, net assets $77 million. Highest paid executives in Visiting Nurses Association. Lisa Greisler, president at $378 million, Sarah Sweeney at $188 million, Frederick Portum at $175 million, Paul Coleman at $188 million. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back and say that again because I'm reading them wrong. I'm giving the wrong impression here. The highest paid executive, Lisa Greisler, is at $378,000. Sarah Sweeney, $188,000. Frederick Portum, $175,000. Paul Coleman, $188,000. Megan Fisher, $144,000. Jill Pogzinski, $228,000. Judith Capruso, $150,000. And please, I beg your indulgence and pardon on that one. They certainly weren't making that in millions. It was in hundred thousands. Okay, Evergreen Health on Elmwood Avenue. CEO Raymond Ganu. Employees 632. The revenues at $118 million. Expenses are $111 million. Expenses are devoted to programs at 86%, management at 13%. Surplus or deficit, $7 million. Net assets, $50 million. Highest paid executives, and I'll get this one right. Raymond Ganu, corporate president, $669,000. Patrick Hildebrandt, $385,000, chief pharmacy officer. Fatai Garosi, chief medical officer, $381,000. Michael Lee, $321,000. Jesse Gasbaro, $293,000. Nicholas Maggi, $247,000. Jessica Baker, General Counsel, $230,000. Thomas Foyles, Foels, Medical Director, $215,000. Okay, fourth place, we have Catholic Health, Home and Community. They're located on Genesee Street, headquartered there. Tom Gleason is their CEO. They employ 869. The revenue is $104 million. Expenses, $99 million. The expenses devoted to programs, that's 86.1%. Management, 13.9%. Surplus or deficit is $4 million. Net assets, $61 million. Highest paid executive, Marla Dewar, $216,000. Kimberly Peters, VP of Operations, $167,000. Mark Wheeler, $179,000. Wendy McDonald, Manager of the Home Health Clinical Operations, $108,000. Edward Zabala, Pharmacy Supervisor, $167 million. And Robert Oiton, Director of the Pharmacy, $181,000. Okay, so that's the first four in this very elite club. And by the way, at the halfway point here, you're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, let's keep going here. We're up to page 22, still reading about these tops in revenue, the $2 million nonprofit club. Fifth place, we have the Resource Center, located in Jamestown. The CEO is Denise Jones. They employ 1,538. Revenue, $100 million. Expenses, $67 million. Expenses devoted to programs, 90.3. To management, 9.7. Surplus and deficit, $3 million. Net assets, $22 million plus. Highest paid executive is Denise Jones, who makes $335,000. Kelly Dimitri, $226,000. Joan Bevan, $146,000. Deborah Larson, $139,000. Heather Brown, $148,000. Okay, in sixth place, Aspire, Western New York, headquartered in Gettsville. The CEO is Renee Phillip. They employ 2,010. Revenue is $85 million. The expenses are $83 million. Expenses devoted to, well, the programs are 91%, management at 9%. Surplus or deficit is $2 million plus. Net assets, $6 million plus. Highest paid executive are Renee Phillip, who's president, $285,000. Jennifer Ball, $228,000. Melissa Roth, $203,000. Christina Catrona, $105,000. Dawn Kaufman, $129,000. Martha Farrell, $144,000. Robert Pettit, $130,000. Wendy Zach, $125,000. Thomas McDonald, $118,000. And that's it for Aspire. Next, we have Best Self Behavioral Health, headquartered on Main in the city. Elizabeth Woike, W-O-I-K-E, is the CEO. They employ 1,313 people. The revenue is $83 million. Expenses, $84 million. Programs, 86%. Management, 13%. They have a deficit of minus $1.5 million. Net assets, $10 million. Highest paid executive, Esther Woik at $390,000 and Joseph DiStasio at $316,000. In eighth place, we have Intandem, I-N-T-A-N-D-E-M. They're located on Buffalo Street in Olean. CEO is Marie Howard and employs 1,072. Revenue at $82 million plus, almost 83. Expenses, $80 million. The expenses are devoted to programs at 91%, management at 8%. Surplus deficit, $2 million plus. Net assets, $34 million. Highest paid executives, Marie Howard, the CEO, $369,000. Greg Kloss, $154,000. Tracy Crisfulli, $158,000. Lawrence Sorokes, $107,000. Karen McGovern Graham, $119,000. Melanie Stuckney, $113,000. Bruce Harvey, $119,000. So let's see now. what's the next one? The next one is ninth place, Horizon Corps, located in Gettsville. Aaron DiGirolamo is the top executive. They employ 1,026. Revenue is 78 million, and also expenses is 78 million. Just a little more in terms of money than they expend. The expenses are devoted to, well, the programs are 84%, management 15%. They have a deficit, no, it's a surplus of 279,000. Net assets, 32 million. Highest paid executive, Aaron Giuliano, 346,000. Second place, Brandy Vandermark Murray, 241,000. Jacob Heckler, 188,000. Michelle Curto, 171,000. John Ruffolo, CFO, 182,000. Joshua Mora, 269,000. Okay, 10th place, New View Alliance, located in Main Street in Williamsville, are headquartered there. We have CEO is Carolyn DeFranco. They employ 712 people. The revenue is 67 million. The expenses are 64 million. The expenses are devoted to the programs at 83%, management at 16%. They have a surplus of 2 million, almost 2.5 million. Net assets, 46 million. Highest paid executives, James Coder at 225,000. Carolyn DeFranco, 196,000. Patricia O'Connor, 125,000. Larry Perry, 127,000. Daniel Loshashero, 115,000. Michelle Cope, 121,000. Thomas Buskowski, 124,000. Christy D'Angelo, 117,000. Sarah Taylor, 124,000. Alicia Wajorek, 129,000. Julie Angelone, 111,000. And Christine Coakley, 102,000. Okay, now in 11th place, we have OLV Human Services, located Ridge in Lackawanna. CEO is Cindy Lee. They employ 1,053. The revenue is 65,290. 62 million. Okay, 65,000 in expenses. Okay, let me get this straight now. They have a revenue of 65 million, expenses of 62. The expenses are devoted to programs, that's 85%, management 14%. They have a surplus of 2 million plus, almost 3. Net assets of 14 million. Highest paid executives, Cindy Lee, 302,000. Lauren Parsons, 199,000. Roger Woodworth, 155,000. Sheila Hunt, 135,000. And Donald Leslie, 129,000. Okay, in 12th place, we have Kubrick Incorporated, Genesee Street. Looks like it's out near the airport. They employ 241. Revenue is 60 million, expenses of 57. And their expenses, programs are 93%. Management is almost 7%. They have a surplus of 2 million plus, net assets of 16 million. The highest paid executives are Thomas McMahon, the president, at 1,136,000. Tracy Gertz, 563,000. Michael Moscow, 472,000. Tim Wadhams, 356,000. Eric Barcelo, 315,000. David Bongino, 284,000. Joel Fenger, 273,000. Majid Zanipur, 252,000. Aaron Dufresne, 237,000. And William Tagliaferri, 250,000. Okay, that's 12th place. Okay, next we have in 13th place, Western New York Independent Living. They're on Main in the city. They employ 3,161. The revenue is 58 million. Expenses 65 million. I think they're going to be taking a hit here. And I'm not trying to be facetious. Expenses devoted to programs 93%, management 6%. They have a deficit of $6.5 million. Net assets of $18 million. Highest paid executive, Douglas Uziak at $199,000 and Sarah Jane Carella at $93,000. 14th place, we have the Arc Erie County, and they're located on Wilson Road in Williamsville. The CEO is Douglas DeCesare. They employ 1,279 people. The revenue is $55 million. The expenses are $53 million. 85% for programs, 14% for management. They have a surplus of $2 million. Assets of $24 million. The highest paid executive is Douglas DeCesare, $250,000. Lisa Carroll at $149,000. Michelle Cordero, $145,000. Lori Bryan, CFO, $138,000. Karen Mayweather, $121,000. Peter Schmidt, $105,000. Justin Fax, $114,000. James Otis, $103,000. Okay, 15th place, Trinity Medical, Western New York, are headquartered on Genesee Street. Tom Gleason is their CEO. They have a revenue of $55 million, expenses of $79 million. Expenses devoted to programs, 97.7, management, 2.3. They have a deficit of almost $24 million. Their net assets, minus $113 million plus. Okay, 16th place, we have Neighborhood Health Center, headquartered Lawn Avenue in Riverside. Joanne Hafner is their CEO. They employ 458. The revenue is $55,000. Expenses $48,000. Million. I take that back. I keep making that mistake. Their revenue is $55 million. Expenses are $48 million. The expenses are devoted to programs, 85%, management, 14%, fundraising, 0%. They have a surplus of $6 million plus, net assets of $24 million plus, and they have 3 people listed here as the highest paid executives. Joanne Hafner at $340,000, Edward Gablewski, $128,000, and Christopher Biondolillo at $259,000. That's 16th place. In 17th place, we have Arc Glow, which is headquartered in Walnut Street in Batavia, and their CEO is Martin Meskel. They employ 1,316. They have a revenue of $54 million. They have expenses of $52 million. Their expenses are devoted to programs at 90%, management at 9%. Surplus, definitely a surplus, $1,628,000. Net assets, $20 million. Highest paid executive, Martin Miskel, makes $258,000 a year. Lynn Fleming is the number 2 at $174,000 a year. Christy Hardigan, $101,000 a year. Patrick Kepner, $111,000. Deborah Tuckerman, $110,000. Kelly Kennedy, $107,000. And finally, Stephanie Metz, $104,000. Okay, so that's 17th place. Okay, next we have an 18th place, Say Yes Buffalo. They employ 209 people. David Rust is their CEO. Revenue of $53 million, expenses of $19 million. And David Rust receives $282,000. Lauren DeLuca, $163,000. Daphne Ross, $134,000. Tanya Staples, $132,000. Amanda Paul, $120,000. Christopher Lee, $107,000. Jelena Smallwood, $112,000. Betsy Beerend, $102,000. Michael Malley, $109,000. Colleen Gill, $104,000. In 19th place, we have Sassi. That's in Elma. They employ 959 people. Revenue of 51 million, expenses of 49, 91% to programs, 8.7 to management. Net assets of $20 million, surplus at this point of $1.5 million. Highest paid executives, Joseph Patterson, $234,000. Barbara Lamoro, that's right. Barbara, $176,000. Sean Cunningham, $123,000. Amanda Kinmartin, $103,000. Umbrain Fatima, medical, $175,000. Christine Schilling, $122,000. Daniel Woods, $118,000. And Elaine Medicia, $116,000. And finally, in the top 20, we have Child and Family Services of Erie County, headquartered on Delaware Avenue. Elizabeth McParland as their chief executive officer. They employ 812. They have a revenue of 51 million and expenses of 50, almost 51. Expenses devoted to, well, the program's 86%, where management's 13%. Surplus of 285,000, so that's just a little over $250,000. Net assets of 10 million plus, almost 10.5 million. The highest paid executives are Elizabeth McParland at 347,000, Mary Gzap, 151,000, Gretchen Szymanski, Chief Clinical Program Director, 143,000, Julie Lesh, Chief Community Program Officer, 144,000. Laura Yeager, 138,000. David Breckenridge, 113,000. Rachel Green, 187,000. Lauren Collins, 136,000. And finally, Lisa Dumbeck, 139,000. So there you have the top 20 member of this interesting little group here. And I was reading them, the 2 Million Nonprofits Club. $2 million nonprofits. Oh my gosh. Okay. And now again, this is from using Federal Form 990 for fiscal year 2023. Okay. Now I can see my time is pretty much running out. I do have a little bit more time. And by the way, you're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First and the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. So I read you the details in full of the top 20. Next, I'm just going to go from there, starting with 21, and just read you the names of the nonprofits that are listed here. And I heartily suggest that you avail yourself of a copy or also of our chance we offer if you call in. You may have one of our wonderful people out there in the offices that will completely read to you what you need to have read. I can only skim the surface on this very, very special issue. So we had the top 20. So in 21, Jericho Road Community Health Center. 22nd place, Chautauqua Institution. 23rd place, Community Services for Everyone. 24th place, Academic Medicine Services. 25th place, Fallon Health Weinberg. 26th place, Hospice Buffalo. 27th place, Brothers of Mercy Campus. 28th place, ARC, Allegheny, Steuben County. That was 28th place. 29th place, Feedmore, Western New York. They're in 29th place. 30th place, Greenfields Continuing Care Community. 31st place, Connecticut Connect Life Blood and Organ Donor Network. Wow. There you go. Okay, 32nd place, Western New York Blood Care. 33rd place, Catholic Charities of Buffalo. 34th place, Community Action Organization of Western New York. 39 is the Summit Center. 35th is the Summit Center. 36th is Spectrum Health and Human Services. 37th is Buffalo Urban Development. 38th, Beechwood Healthcare Center. 39th place, Frontier Science Foundation. And 40th place, Gary, as in Gerry, Gary Holmes Heritage Ministries Charitable Care Network. And that brings us to the end of the top 40. Okay, and just for reference, the Jerry homes at number 40 were down to a revenue of $30 million. But in this case, the expenses far outweigh the $30 million. It's up another 10%. So the expenses are there whether they hire competent or incompetent health. Hopefully they'll hire competent health. Okay. Again, we don't have a lot of time, but 41 is Canterbury Woods Life Care Community. 42 is Kalos Health, K-A-L-O-S. 43, Life Catholic Health System, PACE. 44th is Chautauqua Center. 45th is Shea Performing Arts Center. 46, Beyond Support Network. 47, YMCA of Buffalo Niagara. 48th, Living Opportunities of DePaul. 49th is Buffalo Hearing and Speech Center, and 50th is Chautauqua Opportunities. 51st, Erie County Bar Association. 52, Casanova Recovery System. 53, Mercy Flight. 54, Endeavor Health Services. 55, Goodwill Industries, Western New York. 56, Fox Run, Orchard Park. 57, Autumn Services. 58, Transitional Services. 59, Buffalo AKG Art Museum. 60th place, Hospice and Palliative Care, Buffalo. And for point of reference, they report revenue of $18,883,000 in today's report. Okay, obviously we're going through a lot of the figures. Okay, let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm just reading ahead to see if I can somehow shorten this a bit. Okay, Goodwill Industries, 55th place, 56th place, Fox Run, as I mentioned, 57, Autism Services, 58, Transitional Services, 59, Buffalo AKJ Art Museum, 60, Hospice and Palliative Care, 61 place is Schofield, Schofield Care, that is. 62nd place, Community Health Center, Buffalo. 63rd place, Buffalo Toronto Public Media. 64th place, Niagara Hospice. 65, Universal Primary Care. 66, Complete Senior Care. 67, Empower. 68, VIA, Visually Impaired Advancement. Okay, 69th place, Legal Aid Bureau of Buffalo. 70th, Total Senior Care. And now we're down to the revenue of about $15 million a year for this and the ensuing ones. 71 is Buffalo Philharmonic. 72, UConnect Care. 73, School and Municipal Energy Co-op. 74, Forest Lawn Cemetery. 75, Heritage Village Rehab. 76, Shelkoff Health Center. 77, Buffalo Erie County Public Library. 78, Neighborhood Legal Services. 79, Jacobs Institute. And 80th, Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. Okay, we'll try to get up to 90. 91 is Health Link. 82 is Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper. 84 is Community Missions. 85, Buffalo Urban League. 86 is Connecting Communities and Action. 87, Erie County Agricultural Society. 88, UBMD, UB Associates. 89, SPCA of Erie County. 90 is JCC of Buffalo. And they are at, because this is the last one I'm reading, they are at around 11 million. So you have so much more. I'm just sorry. I'm at the point where I'm running out of time here. Let's just try to get to 100. Okay. So we had 89 was SPCA, 890 was JCC, so 91 is United Way of Buffalo Erie County, 92 is the Buffalo Zoo, 93 Journey's End Refugee Services, 94 Restoration Society, 95 YMCA of the Twin Tiers, 96 Jewish Family Services, 97 Buffalo Federation of Neighborhood Centers, 98 Buffalo Civic Auto Ramps, 99 Buffalo City Missions, and 100 would be Recovery Operations Made Easy. And boy, don't they need to be in service many, many, many times. So that takes us to page 35, and again, there's so many more. This goes on. I'm going to see how high it goes in terms of numbers. We got to 100 just in terms of naming them. And this is that elite 2 million club that we were talking about. My gosh, it's going on for page after page after page. Ooh, my gosh. Okay. We got all the way up to, there will be 242 all told who are in this club. And the last one at 242 has a revenue of about $2 million. So again, the criteria was what companies made more than $2 million in money coming into their, that's not with expenses, that's revenue. And again, this was the borderline was at 2 million. So hopefully you can find out where your favorite charity lies in this issue. So I am just amazed, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, you've been listening to a reading of features from Buffalo Business First, their special issue here that's dated December 5th through 11th, 2025. Your reader, now we read from Buffalo Business First every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and you can actually go online, Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service.com, and get back, not get any things back, but you will get recordings that have been made in the past that you can actually listen to, plus the most recent ones. And you can also call us. You can call us at 716-821-5555 and try extension 5, and you will get someone, or at least information on them. You can have somebody read you the rest of the article. And believe me, it's going to take a while. God bless you. So, again, this has been Fran McNamara. I've sincerely enjoyed doing this for you, and I wish you all the best, and hopefully you come back and listen to us. We broadcast at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, but again, our library of recordings is available to you 24/7 at our website, NFRRS, Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Please avail yourself of it. Be healthy, and God bless.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have Time Magazine. At 8 o'clock, we have the New York Times. And following that, at 9 o'clock, we have Discover Magazine. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. Thank you for listening. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision,